Hello, we're going to look at the AQA Functional Skills Level 2 Mathematics Paper 2 for June 2021. As always, it's an hour and a half and you are allowed a calculator. Remember to use a black pen. Question 1 says or asks us to circle the largest number. And so what we need to do is first of all check, are there any decimals? No? Good. Second thing to check is, are these numbers the same length? And as you see, they'll all have 7 digits, in which case we can just go comparing the left number of each, and we'll go through and comparing until we find the biggest one. So in this case we're looking at the first one. We have 8, 8, they're all 8, so I'm just going to cross them off. We look at the next one, we have 5, 5, 5 and 5, so again I'm going to cross those off because those are all the same, so it doesn't let me find the biggest one. Next one is a 3, a 0, a 3 and a 0, and the ones with zeros are smaller than the 3s, so I'm getting rid of that because we're looking for the largest one. So I'm now comparing the next one along. So we have here a 3, 0, and here we have 3, 0, so that's still no good because they're basically the same. Okay, remember I've crossed these ones off because those had a 0 in it and they were too small when we went along. So we have 3, 0, 4, 3, 0, 4, still looking the same, 3, 0, 4, 7, 3, 0, 4, 0, in which case this is the largest number because the 470 is going to be bigger than 407. Question number 2 shows us a quadrilateral, and this is a good opportunity to remind ourselves that a quadrilateral has 4 sides, and when you add all the angles in a quadrilateral, it will add up to 360. Okay, and they're asking us to find x, and for that we basically have already know 3 of the angles and we're looking for the missing one. So to do that, what we're going to say is we're going to add up what are the ones we already know: 121 plus 57 plus 84. Take a calculator. 121 plus 57 plus 84, which gives us 262. Because it's 2 marks, I showed what I did, and then now we say we have 360, which is the total number of all the angles when we add all the angles. We're going to take away the 262 we had, and we can use a calculator for that. And as you can see, the answer comes out to 98. And so down here, I'm going to write 98. And they have the degree sign, so I don't need to write the units in. Let's move on to question number 3. And number 3 is a calculation question. And basically it depends on the calculator you have. My calculator will do exactly what is there, so I'm just going to get my calculator out. But if yours doesn't do that, then what you're going to have to do is calculate the top part, the numerator, and then divide it by 2.5. Why? Because the whole top is divided by the bottom. But in my case, I'm going to actually type in what I see there: 804,936 plus 23,704, and that is divided by 2.5. Notice I've written, sorry, you can't see, I've written exactly what is in the question. And just check that I haven't made any mistakes with typing the numbers in. And then I'm going to press equals, and the answer comes out to 331,456. There we are. Question number 4 is asking us to write this as a mixed number, and to do that we need to find out how many 17s are in 56. So the first thing I'm going to do is 56 divided by 17 to find out how many we have. So 56 divided by 17. And when I do that, it comes out to a fraction, but change it to a decimal, and we get 3.29 blah blah blah. Okay, so at that point I know it's going to be 3 and a bit. Okay, so my whole number is going to be 3. But now I need to find out what my actual fraction is going to be, and we know the denominator doesn't change, so I'm going to keep that the same. And I need to find out what is up here. So what we had is we have 3 lots of 17, So if we do 3 lots of 17, 3 times 17 gives me 51. So in this case we had 56 on top. In the numerator, take away 51, which means that we're going to have 5 left over, and that 5 goes there. So in other words, we have 3 lots of 17, remainder 5 out of 17. 1 mark. Question 5 has a table, and a table 2 marks for completing these 2 boxes correctly. And they haven't said anything, there's no requirements, so we're just going to fill it in as is. This has to be a fraction, and it's going to be easy because basically this is a percentage, and a percentage means out of 100, so you could just write 26 out of 100. They haven't asked you to simplify it, so there's no point in doing that. But if you have a calculator, you can simplify it anyway, because you can obviously put it into your calculator and have 26 out of 100. And when you press equals, it changes it to 13 out of 50. So if you wanted to, you could have had here 13 out of 50, and that would also have given you the mark. Okay, now for this one here, it's writing as a percentage, and any fraction or any decimal, if you want to change them into a percentage, you just need to multiply by 100. Okay, so in that case I'm going to take this one, 0.08, multiply it by 100, and you'll notice we end up with 8, so it's 8%. Now because it's a percentage, I'm going to write the percentage sign to make sure it's clear that it's a percentage. To prove that it would have worked with the other one, if you've taken a fraction, 2 out of 25, multiply that one by 100, it ended up also with 8. So that's just a method. Fractions to and decimals to percentages, just multiply it by 100, and that will work, always. So we've done question 5, we're on to question 6. And question 6 has a diagram of a triangle. They tell us the height, they tell us the base is also written up here. And they're asking us to work out the area of the triangle, 2 marks. And for that one you have to remember that the area of the triangle is the base multiplied by the height, and then at the end divide by 2. Otherwise you end up with the area of the rectangle. So 12 times 7.1 gives us an answer, and then at the end I'm going to divide by 2. So there we are, divide by 2, which gives me an answer as a fraction. Change it to a decimal, and we get 42.6. So the area of this triangle is 42.6. 2 marks, so it's a good idea to show how you did it and then your answer in case you make a mistake along the way. On to question 7, and question 7 is asking us to increase 656 by 12.5%. Now there's 2 ways of doing this. The level 1 method, which is basically to work out your 12% and multiply it by the amount. To do that, you can again use a calculator. 12.5% out of 100, multiply it by 656, and it comes out to 82. And because it says increase, we're going to now increase it, which is the, sorry, made a mistake, which is 656 plus, don't know why I wrote it up there, but anyway, it's a plus, not a very good plus, I apologize, but you get the picture, plus 82. So 656 plus 82, and we'll get the answer of 738. So let's write 738 down. Okay. However, a different method for those of you who are happy using the multiply method is it's increasing, so we're going to have 100% plus another 12.5%, which means we're going to end up with 112.5%. So our multiplier, when we come to do that, is going to be 112.5% out of 100. Multiply it by 656, and we should end up with the same answer. I'll bring it over here so you can see. And so we're going to end up with 112.5 out of 100, multiplied by 656, and it should come out 2, and it does, the same answer as we had doing it the other method. So you just need to find out which method suits you. Okay, on to question number 8. Now question number 8 is a section B question, so now we're on to those longer questions, and you sometimes have to read a bit more and work for these marks. So let's see what it is. It says there's a starting high school. Cam is starting high school. His parents or her parents buy him, okay, so it's buy him a mobile phone. Here are the costs of using the phone. Pay as you go plan. Data 3 pence per minute, no, per megabyte, so every megabyte costs 3 pence. Calls are 23 pence for every minute, and texts are 8 pence each. In the first month, the total cost of using the phone was £34.56. He used 850 megabytes of data. He made 14 calls. How many texts did he send that month? So we're going to have to work backwards to find out what that was. Okay. Now, once again, these type of questions have several ways of doing it, so it's more a case of finding out if you get the same answer as I do once you've done your calculations, because sometimes the method I use may not suit you. Okay, so what do we know? Well, we know that his phone, the total cost for using the phone was £34.56. So we're going to take away off that how much he used for data and how much he used for calls, and what's left over will be for text, and then split that into how many texts. So we're going to have to find out how much he spent on the megabytes, and the megabytes was 850 megabytes. Each megabyte is 3 pence, so we multiply that one by 3. So we're going to 850 times 3, which comes out to 2,550. Now we were using pence, so the answer comes out in pence. If we want to change it to pounds, we have to divide by 100, so divide by 10, divide by 100, which comes out to £25.50. Now that might not be wise of me to do that, because looking at that, everything in here is in pence, so perhaps what I'm going to do is leave it in pence and just change this one to pence at the end, but we'll see. Okay. Next one was 14 minutes, and each minute is 23 pence. So we have 14 times 23, which comes out to 322. 322 pence. Okay, if you want to work in pounds, that would be £3.22. And as we said, the cost was £34.56. I'm going to use pence, so I'm going to change that one into pence, and to do that we're going to multiply that by 100, multiply that by 100, and end up with 3,456 pence. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say we had 3,456 pence in total. We're going to take away 2,550 pence for the data, and we're going to take away 322 pence for the calls, and see how much is left over for tax in pence. Okay, so 3,456, take away 2,550, and I'm also going to take away 322, which leaves us with 584 pence. As I said, in this case I haven't used the pounds, but you may have decided to use the pounds. That's fine. So that's how much is spent on all the texts. But we need to find out not how much they spend, but how many texts. So to do this, we're going to take that 584 pence, and we're going to split it, or divide it, or share it out into 8 pence each to find out how many. So in this case we have 584 divided by 8, and the answer comes out to 73. So 73 texts is what he... Oops, sorry about that. Let me just bring it up there so you can see. So 73 texts was what he did. Now if you wanted to check it, you could always kind of work back, total it all up. So you could say 73 times 8 and see if you ended up with that, and then add it to how much you had for the other ones, and as a way of checking, and you should end up back to the £34.56. Brilliant, 4 marks for that. Remember to show your workings, always important, because since everybody has a different way of doing things, you need to show how you did it. So for part B of question 8, Cam cycles to school. The distance from the house to the school is 4.2 miles. They put it in bold. Cam leaves at 8:05. He cycles at an average speed of 19.2 kilometers per hour. So that means every hour, that's how far he would go in kilometers. He will arrive at the school. Oh, will he arrive at the school before 8:25? You must show your workings, and they tell us that 1 mile is the same as 1.6 kilometers. So they've put this in bold because basically we need to work with the same stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the 42 miles into kilometers, and every mile is worth 1.6. So I have 4.2 miles times 1.6. When I do that, it will come out in kilometers. So 4.2 multiplied by 1.6 comes out at 6.72. 6.72 kilometers, and that is a distance from the home to school. And the reason I'm writing that is just so I don't forget that that's how far he has to travel in that time. Okay, the next bit we need to know is how long he has. And if you see this one here, it has 8:05, 8:25, and so you can see that the time he travels is going to be 20 minutes. Can you see that? Good. So now we want to know how far does he travel in the speed if he travels at this speed. Now this is where you have to understand that in 1 hour he will go 19.2 kilometers. But he's not traveling for an hour, he's traveling for 20 minutes. So what fraction of an hour is he traveling? Well, he's traveling 20 minutes out of a total of 60 minutes. So that's a fraction, which actually comes out to a third. Okay, if you put in your calculator 20 over 60, just to prove it, 20 over 60 simplifies to a third. Okay, but it doesn't matter, you don't need to simplify it, you can just leave it at that. So we have a third of the total, of the speed. So when you do that, you can either work with the third that we had there or with that one, times by 19.2, and that if he travels at that speed, he will travel a total distance of 6.4 kilometers. So in 20 minutes he will travel 6.4 kilometers, but he needs to travel 6.72 kilometers, and so basically he won't make it, will he? Because basically that one is much less than what he needs to cover. So will he arrive at school before that? No, because he will only have traveled 6.4 kilometers, which is not 6.72 kilometers. So in other words, he's not going to get there in time. It's going to take a bit longer. Now there are other ways of doing this question. You find the one that suits you, but the answer will still come out as no. Let's look at 8C. What does question 8C do? And in this one it says, Cam's parents give him a monthly allowance. When he started school, his allowance was increased by 28% to this amount. So this has already been increased, and this is how much he's getting. How much extra does Cam receive each month? Once again, this is one of those questions that has different ways of doing it. One method is to write out what we know. And this has increased. Now it's gone up. It started off with 100% and it's gone up another 28%. So at the moment, he is getting 128%, and that is the same as £32. And they're asking us how much extra does he receive each month compared to what he did before. Now how much extra? Well, before he used to get 100%, and so the extra bit is this is what was extra, and so the question is, what is that amount? Okay, so that's kind of breaking down the question. Now when you write it down in this form, one method is to basically multiply these two together. So we're going to get 32 times 28, and then you multiply by the one on the other side. So that is one method. Okay, and if you do that, the answer comes out to 32 times 28 divided by 28, and the answer comes out to 7. Okay, so the amount of extra money he was getting is £7. So you can just write 7, but I'm going to make it clear that it's 7 by putting the pence in there. Okay. A separate method is to write it out in a similar way. And to understand that what we're looking for is we're looking for the 28. Okay, so that's what we're looking for. But to do that, we find out how much is 1% worth. So what we say for this is how or what did you do to this number to get 1? Well, you divide by the number itself. Any number divided by itself gives you 1. And once you know what 1 is, to change it to this number, you multiply by that number, because 1 times 28 to that. And that's the instructions that you will do on this side, which is going to be divide by 128 and then multiply by 28. And if you do that, you'll get the same answer, because clearly 32 divided by 128 is the same as what we had there, and multiplied by 28 is the same as what's there. But let's just show you. So we have 32 divided by 128, and then we say times 28, and you'll notice the answer comes out to 7, just like we had before. Okay, so there's our answer. Good. Let's look at question 9. And question 9 is talking about some glass ornaments. Scott makes and he sells glass ornaments. The ornaments are made in the shape of birds or fish or square-based pyramids. Scott makes bird ornaments and fish ornaments in a ratio. So here we have a ratio. He makes 21 birds. How many more birds than fish does he make? Oh, that's nice. So this question is about birds and fish. In this case we have 7 for the birds, we have 5 for the fish, and they tell us that what he does is he makes 21 of the birds, and they want him to find out how many more does he make of the birds than the fish. But to do that we'll need to know how many fish he has. And like before, what we need to do is find out what's happened to this side to do on that side. And you can see that 7 times 3 is 21, so you're going to basically say times 3. If you're not sure how to do that, you can work backwards and say 21 divided by 7, and the answer will come out at 3, and then you know that 7 lots of 3 is 21. So 5 times 3 is 15, and the question was how many more, so we can now say 21 birds, take away 15 fish ornaments, and if you do that in your calculator it will come out to 6, which means there are 6 is the answer. There are 6 more birds than fish ornaments. Nice 3 marks for that. Let's have a look at 9b. And 9b is, these are the square-based pyramids they were talking about. And they said here are the pyramids. The base is 7.5. The perpendicular height, that means the height going straight upwards, is 9.6 centimeters. They're both in centimeters. The volume of this pyramid is given by this formula. They tell us that b is the base and h is the height, and here's the formula. Density of each pyramid is 2.4 grams for every cubic centimeter. Work out the mass of the pyramid. Okay, well, first things first, we're going to have to use this formula to work out the volume. So we're going to write it down. So the volume of one of these is 1/3 times b squared, and b was the base, and the base is 7.5. And then they tell us to square it. And you multiply it by the height, and the height is 9.6. And once again, if you have a scientific calculator, you could enter it all in one go. So you have 1/3 times 7.5 squared, make sure you have the little 2 there, times 9.6. If you don't have a scientific calculator, you'll have to know how to use it with your calculator. And the answer comes out to 180. So the volume is 180 centimeters cubed. Okay, but that's not what the question was. The question was work out the density. No, they tell us the density and work out the mass. Now for that you will need to know either the triangle for density, that density equals mass over volume, or the formula that says density equals mass divided by volume. Okay, so you'll need to know one of these for this calculation. And you can see to do this, if we wanted to find the mass, here's the mass, we'll need the density and the volume. They've given us the density, but that's why we need to work out the volume. So if I want to work out the mass, it will be density times volume. Okay, so the mass is going to be density times volume, and the density they tell us is 2.4 grams per cubic centimetre, and we're working cubic centimetres multiplied by the volume, which is 180. So we're going to get 2.4 multiplied by 180, and that comes out to 432. So the answer is 432 grams. Brilliant. So now where are we? Okay, question 9c. Question 9c, we're continuing with these ornaments, and it says on one day Scott rented a workshop from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. He made 20 pyramids. His costs were £9.50 for every hour that he used the workshop, £219 for the materials. He sold some of the pyramids for £28 each. After paying the cost, Scott had £135 profit. What percentage of the 20 pyramids did he sell? So we're going to have to work backwards and show our workings, and there's a lot of marks for this one, 6 marks, so we're going to have to work out. Okay, so first of all, what were the costs? Okay, so the costs here we can see is for every hour, so we're going to have to find out how many hours he had the workshop for. So if he started at 1, he will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so he's got it for 4 hours. That's how long he has the workshop for. Okay, so we come down here and we can see that basically he pays £9.50 for 1 hour, but he has it for 4 hours. So if we do this, we have £9.50 times 4, which tells us that it will be £38 for the use of the workshop. Okay, so if we want to find the total costs, the total costs were £38 for the workshop, plus another £219 for the materials. So we have 38 plus 219 to get 257. Okay, right, now we notice that they give us a profit, we know the costs, so we're going to find out how much he made. So there's a formula, and the formula says profit is how much money is left over from all the money that comes in from the income, from the sales, taking away all the money that goes out for the costs. Okay, so if you think about it, the profit that he had, okay, they said he sold some of them and he had a profit of 135, so profit was 135. Okay, income, I don't know what the income was, not yet anyway, but we do know the total costs, and the total costs were 257. So number, take away this, gives us that. So we're going to work backwards. So to work backwards, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say we have 135 plus 257, and that will be the income. Okay, that will be that bit there. So we have 135 plus 257 equals 392. Okay, and this is how much money came in for income. We can always check it by putting it back in there and checking. 392, take away that, should give us 135. So 392, take away 257, and if we're correct, it should be 135, and it was, so that's okay. But that is income from selling some ornaments, okay? But we don't know how many he sold, okay? So this is from the sales. But we do know that one of them is £28. So we're going to say 392 split into 28 to see how many of those. The 392 divided by 28, and we see that it comes out to 14. So it's basically, sorry, it's not £14 because we're working, this is finding out how many. 14 pyramids sold. Okay, but that wasn't the question. The question was what percentage, and to write a percentage, what you do is you need to know what fraction was sold out of the total. And if you remember the beginning of today, I said you then multiply it by 100 to turn it into a percentage. So when you do that, you'll then be able to do that. So let's see. So we're going to say 14 out of 20 multiplied by 100, and we get an answer with 70. So that is our percentage. 70% of the pyramids he sold. Okay, let me just push it up there so you can see. and the percentage sign is already there, so I'm not going to bother writing that down again. No point in repeating. So we got 9C done. Where are we? So we're on to 10C. So let's have a look at 10C. No, sorry, 10A. It's a swimming club, and they tell us that we have competitive swimming, or these swimmers are competitors, and they swim in a club, and to train they do gym and pool work. Time in the gym, time in the pool. They also tell us that the swimmers train for a total of 7.5 hours each week. They do 3 gym sessions of equal lengths each week. How long is each gym session? Give your answer in minutes. So there's a clue. They're asking us to work in minutes, okay? And we're starting with hours. Okay, so what do we need to do? Well, we need to find out how much is a gym. And so here they tell us the time in gym and pool, and they tell us how much in total. So I'm just going to write down what we have. So we have time in the gym, time in the pool. This one is 4, this one's 11. And notice in this case, this is a total, okay, in a week. So in other words, how much is spent in the gym plus how much is spent in the pool should add up to 7.5 hours. What I'm going to do is I'm going to split it into how many parts. So we have 4 plus 11 gives me 15 parts to this question. So we're then going to say, okay, we had 7 hours, 7.5 hours, and then we're going to split it into 15 parts to find out how much each part is worth. And we find that each part is worth a half, or 0.5 hours. Okay, but remember, half an hour is the same as 30 minutes, so I'm going to change it now into minutes, just because I know the final answer is going to be in minutes. Okay, so that's how much one part is worth. Okay, so we know that gym is 4 parts, so 4 lots of 30 minutes, and pool is 11 lots of 30 minutes, but I'm not interested in the pool. All we're focusing is in gym and gym. So in this case, we're going to have 4 lots of 30 minutes, and 4 lots of 30 minutes comes out to 120. As I say, I'm not going to bother with a pool. You could do it, but it's just going to take extra time. So that's how much they do for the gym in total in minutes. But that was for 3 sessions, and they want to find out each. That's just for one. So we're going to say 120 minutes divided by 3, and 120 divided by 3 will be 60. No, will be 40. Let's see, divide by 3. See if I'm right. 40. Good. That's how long. 40 minutes. So the final answer for this one is each gym session will be 40. Make sure that looks like a 4. 40 minutes. Fantastic. So that was 10A. Let's have a look at 10B. And 10B tells us we have 18 swimmers are entering a competition into 2 teams. Team A has 10 swimmers. Team B has the rest of the swimmers. Okay. Well, if there are 18 swimmers and 10 are in Team A, then we know that 18 take away 10 is going to be 8 swimmers will be in Team B. Okay, so I'm just going to do that now. I don't know if I'll need it later on, but I thought, well, it doesn't take long to do that. Swimmers score points with the fastest swimmers scoring more of the points. The mean score of all the swimmers is 30 points. Team B has a mean score of 28.5 points. 28.5, sorry. And Team A's target was a mean of 32 points. Did they reach their target? Now this is the target and this is what is real. So we're going to work with what's real and then see what A got and see if it did actually match their target. Show you workings for 4 marks. So what do we know? Well, let's remind ourselves what we do know. We know that the mean is the total, in this case score, divided by how many. Okay, so if we're working with all of them, so I'm first going to look here and I'm working with all of them, we know that the answer was 30. Okay, so we know the answer was 30, and that answer came from working out the total score, which we don't know, or at the moment we don't know, but we know that when you do all swimmers there are 18 of them. So something divided by 18 gave me 30. So working backwards, we can find out that the total score is going to be 30 lots of 18. And 30 lots of 18 means 30 times 18, which is 540. Okay, so that is the total score for all. Okay, so that's the total score for all. I'm going to underline the all. Okay, now we're going to do the same to find out how much Team B scored in total. Okay, so that was for all of them. So I'm just going to write here all, and now we're going to repeat what we just did for Team B. And Team B had an average of 28.5, and that will help me find the total score for Team B, and that was for Team B. Now how many were in Team B? Oh, 8 people. That did come into use, didn't it? And so if we work backwards for that one, we will have 28.5 times by 8. So 28.5 times by 8, 228. So the score was 228, total score for B. Okay, so what do we know? We know that to get the total score, 540 is the answer from adding Team A's total score, which we don't know, plus the answer for Team B. And Team B, we did know. The answer for Team B was 228. So, like before, if I want to find this one, I'm going to work backwards. So 540 take away 228. What do we get? 540 take away 228 gives us 312. So the answer for the total score, oh, made a mistake there, 312. Let's change that. That was the total score for Team A. Okay, but they didn't ask us. They didn't ask us what the total score was for Team A. They said, what was its average? Did it match the 32? So now we're going to check it. So for Team A, if we were to work it out, we'd have the total, and the total was 312, divided by how many people Team A had, and Team A had 10 swimmers. You can put it in your calculator, but in this case I can work it out, which comes out to 31.2, and 31.2 was the score, and their target was 32, and 31.2 is smaller than the target, which is 32 points. So did they achieve their target? No. Big fat no. It's only by a little bit, but they still didn't manage to get there. Good. Let's have a look at 10C. 10C looks like we have a frequency tree. They give us some information. We had 138 swimmers, indeed. They tell us that they compete in this competition, and they're either in the 50 or the 100 meters, 50 or 100, and they're divided into junior or senior, the junior team and the senior team. They tell us that 77 swimmers competed in senior, so they've filled that one in already for us. And they also tell us that in the 100 meters, 36 of the swimmers were senior. So in the 100 meters, in the senior group, 36 of them were senior. Okay, so, but they tell us that in that category we had 64 swimmers. What else did I say? They say one of the swimmers is chosen at random. Work out the probability that the swimmer competed in the junior 50. Use the information in the tree to help you. So we're going to have to fill in this tree before we try to do a probability. Okay. Now the key thing is this one. They tell us in the 100 meters. So here and here will add up to 64. So to work this one out, we're going to say 64 take away 36. So we have 64 take away 36, which gives us an answer of 28. So in the 100 meters for the juniors we had 28 competing, because in these two bits it will add up to 64. That's good because now we have all the information. We know we started with 138, take away 77 that went down to the seniors, which means we're left with 61 for juniors. And out of the juniors, some of them did 100, which means the leftover, or the remaining lot, will did a 50. So we had 61, take away 28, which leaves us with 33. So 33 did the 50. And we don't need this because we're only interested in the junior, but I'll do it for completeness. So 77, take away 36, gives us 41. So we've completed the table, sorry, the tree, because it's always useful to have it, just in case. It says one of the swimmers is chosen at random. Work out the probability that the swimmer competed in the junior 50. So where is the junior 50? Junior's here and 50 there. So that there is the number that we're interested in, juniors 50 out of the total. So probability for this will be 33 out of 138. Now obviously you could do some of your calculations down here on the space provided, but I managed to do it all with the calculator and in confidence, so I don't need to check it, and so I will just write down here that the probability is 33 out of 138. Okay, good, that's not so bad for 4 marks. Let's look at the next bit. Oh, we're on to question 11, and question 11 is about designing a garden. And in designing this garden, we have a picture, so it's going to be a little bit hard to fit it all in here, but what we have is there's a rectangular garden. It measures 15 by 9.4 meters, 15 by 9.4 meters. It will have a 15 by 1.8 rectangular bed. So here we have the 15 by 8, so this is the bed, and there's a pond with a radius of 2.3, and the rest of the garden will be covered in grass. So in other words, this bit here will be grass. They also tell us that the grass seed is sold in boxes, and here's a box, and the box has some information. It says it costs £12.99 and it will cover, one box will cover 28 meters squared. So we want to continue, and the next page has our space for working, and it says in how much in total will Austin pay for the boxes that he needs. Show your workings, 6 marks. Now you'll notice that we can't find out how much we need, how many of these boxes, until we know how much area we have. So we're going to have to work out the area of the grass bit. Okay, so the area for the grass bit is going to be the area of the rectangle that has grass, okay, minus the area for the circle, because you're not going to put any grass in the pond. Well, you could try, but nothing's going to grow there. Okay, now area of the rectangle. Okay, so what I mean by that is I want to find the whole, that rectangle there, and we already know it's 15, so we know it's going to be 15 times the height. Now notice they haven't given me the height of this bit, they've said all of it. All of this is 9.4. Now when I say height, I'm just meaning because of the way the picture is, because I always think of base times height, but really not height, it's length times width, isn't it? So what I need to do is I need to find out how far this is. So if all of it is 9.4, I'm going to do 9.4, take away 1.8, and that will tell me what I have. So 9.4, take away 1.8, and that tells us that we have, oh, it's a fraction, 7.6. So this one is going to be 7.6 for this bit. Okay, so down here I'm going to have 7.6. So that is the answer for that rectangle. And now I need to work out the area of the circle. And the area of the circle is pi times radius, and the radius is 2.3 squared, and that will give me the answer for the circle. And the reason I'm taking it out is I don't want that. I just want the bit with grass. Now the nice thing of having a calculator is I can actually type that in all in one go. Okay, so we have 15 times 7.6. Okay, you could do it separately. You could work that out and get 114. Okay, for this bit here, 114. And you could also work that one out there, which is going to be pi. Now I have a pi button on my calculator. There it is, as you can see. Okay, multiplied by 2.3 squared, which comes out to a fraction with pi, so I'm now going to change it. And you notice you get many decimals because working with the pi button you get a high degree of accuracy. I don't need that high degree of accuracy because in the question, if we look back at the question, they were talking about 1 decimal place, 1 decimal place, 1 decimal place. So we don't need more than 1 decimal place, okay? So when I come to write this one down here, I'm going to write 16 point, I'm going to do 2 decimal places just to show that I did more than what was that, okay? So when I come to do that, I do 114, take away 16.62. And that answer comes out to 97.38. meters squared. So that's the area for the grass. But they didn't ask us what the area for the grass, they wanted to know how much it will cost. So we now need to find out how many boxes we need. So each box covers 28 meters squared. So I'm going to take the 97.38 and I'm going to divide it by 28 to find out how many boxes we need. So we have the answer there, divided by 28. And in my case it comes out again to a fraction, but let's change it to a decimal. It comes out to 3.77. See, 3.477. So I'm going to write 3.477, and there's a few decimal points there. Okay. But in other words, I will have to buy 4 boxes. Each box costs £12.99. So 4 times £12.99 comes out to a total of £51.96. £51.96. So let's write that answer down here. £51.96. Okay, that's our answer. So we've done that one. That was a 2-pager. It was worth 6 marks. It does say show you working, so it's a good idea to show all of those steps at least. You may show some other steps if you want. Okay, where are we? We're on to question number B, part B, so 11B. And 11B says Austin wants to buy a pump for the pond. The pump is on sale at £319. The shop offers a credit deal to spread the cost. Credit deal, 8% interest charged and paid over 12 equal monthly payments. Austin buys a pump using the credit deal. Work out the cost of the payment. So in this case we need to know how much he's going to pay. So he's going to pay 8%. Now, like before, back at the very early part A of this question, of this paper, you have 2 methods. I'm going to do the traditional one, which is 8% of the amount, which is 319, but you could do the multiplier version. So we're going to have 800 times 319, which comes out, oh, made an error, forgot to put my multiplication sign in there. There we are. And we end up with £25.52. So he's going to pay £319 plus another £25.52 plus 319, which comes out to 344.52 pence. So that's how much he pays in total. But we're going to spread it because they want to find out how much it is for the monthly payments. So there's 12 of them. So we're going to take that total, 344.52, divide it by 12. And we divide by 12, we end up with an answer that is £28.71. So let's go and write it in the appropriate box right at the end there. £28.71. Good. That's not a bad, that's quite a nice short little workings there, isn't it? Hopefully I haven't missed anything out. That was 11B. And we're now on to 11C, the last part. So well done for getting this far. Let's have a look at to see what this question's about. 3-mark question. It says the volume of the pond is 7.632 meters cubed or cubic meters. He filled a pond with a hose. The water flows at a rate of 16 gallons every minute. How many minutes will it take to fill the pond? And they tell us that 1,000 litres is the same as 1 cubic metre, and 4.5 litres is the same as 1 gallon. So what we're going to have to do is, because we know how many gallons it fills in per minute, and they want the answer in minutes, I'm going to change the cubic meters to gallons. Okay, so here what we have is every cubic meter is worth 1,000, so we're going to have 7.632 multiplied by 1,000 to change it into litres. When you multiply that by 1,000, it's going to give you 7,632 litres. Okay, if you're not sure, just put it in to make sure. Times 1,000, and you end up with 7,632. Okay, so that's how many litres. But we now need to change litres into gallons, and to get 1 gallon you need 4.5 litres, so we have to find out how many of those we can fit in. So we have 7,332 divided by 4.5 litres to find out how many gallons we have. So divide by 4.5, and it tells us we have 1,696. 1,696 gallons. So that's how many gallons he has to fill in this pond. And in 1 minute it has 16 gallons. So we're now going to say 1,696 divided by 16, and we do that one, divided by 16, we get an answer of 106 minutes. So in other words, we've got there, our answer is going to be 106 minutes. Brilliant. Well done for getting this far. I hope that's useful. See you another time. Bye.